Welcome to the Accelerate Campfire. I'm Lyndon Bowen, and today I'm joined by an amazing entrepreneur. I truly hope you enjoy hearing their experiences and life path. Listen in. Shadia is an award-winning Detroit-based creative photographer specializing in portraiture, branding, and marketing, as well as large-scale events. She's a mother of a 21-year-old boy, a 8-year-old girl. After 20 years acting as a nurse aide at a special needs school, Shadia chose to take a leave of absence and actually pursue her passion of photography full time. Since then, she's been published in multiple magazines, shot for national and international brands, and continues to build her name and business through opportunities that she has been blessed with. Guys, please give a warm welcome to Shadia, as well as a birthday. Welcome to Shadia as well, because she's joining us, guys, on her birthday. So, Shadia, thank you and happy birthday. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Cool. So, guys, we dropped the first question into the chat. So, feel free to go ahead, and we'll give you a couple more seconds to vote on that question while I ask Shadia a follow-up question. Shadia, why did you join us on your birthday? I'm just curious.
You know how I am extremely nervous about these types of things, and I promised myself I am now 42, and I am way too grown to be embarrassed to do things outside of my comfort zone, because I know the only way that you grow is to step outside. It has been quite the journey, but I figured what better way than to start off year 42 with something outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah, coming out swinging, right?
Literally. They got to know I'm here, right?
Yeah, you're here, and we love you, and we're happy that you're here.
We love you guys too.
We have the first question from our amazing group here for you. They're curious to know what's the best thing from your worst job?
Oh, so in the same token, my best job and my worst job was the same job. Mm-hmm. I was a special needs nurse aide for 20 years. I love my students. Even the most difficult and aggressive ones were actually some of my favorites. But I was changing about 100 diapers a day. I was pretty much taking beatings from certain students, depending on the day. So it was safe to say I had, no pun intended, the crappiest job in the district, because that's basically what I dealt with. You know, we were doing catheters, vents, trachs, feeding tubes, you name it. So while it was a taxing position, I stayed for 20 years. So clearly it was something I appreciated and loved to be able to help with.
Well, and how did you get into like that line of work, like dealing with special needs individuals and helping them? Like, what was your journey to that point?
So, right out of high school, I was and I was subbing in the school system. My mother worked for the school system and figured it would be something worth just getting into while I was figuring out what I wanted to do with life. Mm-hmm. After a year or two of subbing, I was offered a position in a Montessori classroom. So I went and I interviewed for that and got the job. I wasn't in the Montessori program was inside of a special needs building. So they had their own wing, and then the rest of the school was special needs. And I found myself constantly wandering over to the special needs side and forgetting about my kids. So after 2 years of working with Gen Ed, I realized Gen Ed kids are not for me. And I navigated my way over to the special needs side, and it's just been history since. I found a connection, and I was able to change a lot of lives, thankfully, and grateful to the teachers that I worked with.
I mean, it's interesting. Like you've always been in the service side business. So you went from 20 years working with special needs individuals to, photography, right? Going 100% in that area, delivering on people's dreams and ambitions, and bringing it into real life with pictures. When did you know it was like time to go 100% on your business?
Funny, just this year, actually. I decided to take a leave of absence this year from the school. Because the photography was getting busier, and I did not want to stunt any growth any possible growth, and I really didn't know where things were going. I absolutely love shooting, but I knew like I needed to have something secure. Well, the photography has become pretty secure. I work alongside Robert Courtney and Associates, which is a social media management company, and he keeps me pretty busy on top of my own personal clients. So it's been a beautiful journey. It's been an absolutely beautiful journey, and so it's just been this year. I haven't decided if I'm going back to the school yet. I'm giving myself till August.
Yeah.
But the way things are going with the photography, I'm not sure that I'll make it back.
Ooh, we love to. We love to hear that. We love that you're going 100% business. That's a big move.
You know what? It is a very big move. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into when I did. I am grateful that I did, but it was a nice wake up call.
Mm. Yeah.
You got to do a lot more adulting.
Right. Different.
A lot more adulting. Yeah.
Well, that's actually an interesting point that you bring up. Like your transition to having to do a lot more adulting. Like, what did that? Like, tell us more about that. What was that transition?
Into adulting.
Well, you said more adulting. Like, what was the like? So, regular adulting, there's more adulting. Like, what's the difference?
It really is. So when I decided to go full time into the photography, that was just last August, and I figured I'm done with the 9 to 5. I want to be on my own term, my own hours, and so on and so forth. So I did that, and then I started to work 24 hours a day instead of 8, which nobody told me. Would have been good heads up, like, hey, by the way, you'll start to work 24/7 as opposed to 9 to 5. But it has been so educational, and I have got such a phenomenal staff and family and friends and whatnot behind me that have made it so much easier. I have beautiful mentors. I have teams that I work with that I wouldn't trade for the world. And we all lift each other up, and they are available to give advice and to guide me in any direction that I need to be guided when I need it, which is so lucky for me because not everybody has that. I can call several people at the drop of a dime and ask for advice that other people are probably paying hundreds of dollars to get. And these people are just here trying to help me get to the place that they tell me I deserve to be at. So that is my goal, just to keep building.
I think you're making progress on that. I'd love to hear it.
I believe so. I'm going to roll with that. I think I am. And you know what? Last year I would have said, no, I'm not sure how this is going. But I am grateful to say that it has been an absolutely beautiful journey. And I'm so grateful for the next couple of years to see where things go.
So speaking about a journey, it looks like Leslie dropped us an Easter egg here. So apparently we need to know that you ended up on a reality TV show.
Oh, dear.
We have questions for you, Shadia.
Boy. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's get it out. So, 11 years almost. It was back in 2011. There was a friend of ours who's a producer, and he wanted to create a Muslim reality TV show. It would have been the first of its kind, groundbreaking type of reality show, just showcasing Muslims in America, So they went on to interview, 50 families maybe. And when they had interviewed my family, they were interviewing my mom and my sister, who are both covered. They wear a hijab.
Yep.
And I had come over not knowing that the interview was going on. And they see this girl with pink and purple and blue hair, covered in tattoos, not covered. And they're like, well, who's the white girl? And I'm like, oh, that's my sister. And she's Lebanese Muslim. And so anyhow, needless to say, they sat me down, asked me a few questions. And within, an hour of that, my fiance at the time had shown up, who is Irish Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, okay, but that's a white guy, so who's he? And so we explained that it was my fiance, and they were confused that he was white and that he was Catholic, and, how does this work? And these are people, they were from, I think, New York or California, I don't recall, but they weren't from here, so they weren't aware of our community or, how things go. So they were taken aback by the dynamic of our family, and needless to say, I think that was in May. By May 27th, we were signing contracts and applying to Beverly Hills for the TCAs, which is basically anybody and everybody who is going to be on television that fall was at these TCA, I guess, awards, or I'm not sure what it's called, but I was surrounded by celebrities that anybody who was on TV in 2011 was there at this hotel. And I am supposed to be calm and cool and collected. And I looked like an absolute stalker.
What's going on? What's going on?
Okay, Leslie, you're asking who I saw there. I saw just about everybody. And a quick story, when I first got there, we were standing in, I don't know, the foyer, I guess, or the lobby. And I saw Patrick Dempsey. And I tried to be slick and cool, and I was pretending to be on my phone and trying to take a picture. And all of a sudden, I hear, excuse me, and I turn around, and apparently I'm in front of the men's bathroom, in which the entire cast of Entourage was walking out.
What?
And I was so embarrassed, because I looked like, I obviously they saw me taking the picture as they opened the door. And so the producer comes over, he's like, hey, stop being a fool. You are here for the same reason they are. So if you don't mind, you look like a stalker. I'm like, dang it. So I had to buckle up and not be as embarrassing.
Right.
But it was a great experience. You know, we were up on stage with all these types of people. We had interviews with Entertainment Nightly. We had interviews with a Hollywood Reporter. We were on Anderson Cooper. We were on the Today Show. We were on Good Morning America. It was a very big deal because it was the first show of its kind. The show was called All American Muslim. It aired on TLC, run by Discovery. It was one season long. 8 episodes, and they canceled the show because there were complaints coming from the advertisers saying that their supporters were not going to support them anymore because they were supporting terrorism.
Oh my God!
By this Muslim show that was on.
I guess this was 2012, right? 2011.
It was 2011, yeah. And so I mean, we've got, what I did learn is that we have a long ways to go in this world. But nonetheless, here's the thing. It was one season long. It was aired all over the world. They took it off of YouTube for several years because they were still selling it all across the world. Again, 10 years later, we are still stopped. No matter what city, state, or country we are in, we've been stopped and recognized.
Whoa.
So my sister was in Malaysia and Indonesia and got stopped at a restaurant. She was in a restaurant in Dubai, maybe. And there was a 16 by 20 picture of her hanging in this restaurant.
What?
And she was beside herself. And it was just people that have influenced the world, I suppose. And so it was just, you know, that in itself, you could take the show down. It did what it needed to do. It created dialogue. People who had never met a Muslim before were able to get questions answered. I had friends calling me from all over the country asking, you know, they're like, why do you have to do this show? Do you know how many questions I'm getting asked every Monday now because of your show, and I don't have answers? So it's been, like I said, it was a beautiful experience, one I would probably never do again. It was very invasive, but the impact that it had on the entire world speaks volumes. So I'm grateful that it was our family that had the opportunity.
And like, how did that impact, like, did that inform your journey to like go full time as a photographer? Like, how did this whole like life-changing experience for you and your family like impact your trajectory?
Funny you say that. So we had a photographer on set, as I learned later in life that there are photographers on all movie sets. And I just had taken a liking to what she was doing. And I'm a picture taker. When I was 16, and I didn't realize how far back my love for pictures goes, but I found a picture of my bedroom when I was 15 or 16, and 3 out of the 4 walls were covered in Polaroids and 4x6s and whatever, and that's a lot of pictures on 3 full bedroom walls.
Yeah, a lot of pictures.
So apparently, I really like memories.
Yeah.
So That was in 2011. So in 2012, I bought myself a camera for my birthday. And Alyssa, you know what? I think it's just by habit. I usually say photograph when I'm in talking with clients. I just feel a little more relaxed today, which is why pictures keep popping up.
Yeah. Pictures.
Yeah.
We accept you.
I actually usually say images and not photographs. But anyhow, so the love for the pictures have been long, from a long time ago. And when I got the camera in 2012, I truly just bought it just to take pictures of my family and my children. And by 2015, I had a cousin who was graduating, and she kept asking me to take her daughter's pictures, and I refused because I was not at that caliber in any capacity to take money from anybody. She literally harassed me for 6 months. And I fought it for 6 months, and finally I said, you know what? She's not going to stop. I'm going to do this. And it was wonderful. We had a great time, and the pictures came out pretty darn good for somebody who didn't know what they were doing. So another cousin, I'll take that. I'm going to roll with that one. Yes. So another cousin had asked just a few months later, and it just kind of took off from there. And then in 2018 is when I went to my first photography conference, and that's where life kind of changed for me in the photography world.
Yep. And I know you mentioned the reality TV show as being one of your do-overs, so I'll take that one off the list. But if you got one do-over, what would it be?
Ooh, one do-over. Maybe not started at the school as young as I did or stayed as long as I did. And I say that, and it has nothing to do with my job or my students, but because of the pay grade that you receive at school, it was a struggle for 20 years making ends meet. Because for what I did for a living, I was doing a nurse's job, but it was under $25,000 a year.
Wow.
So I always had to supplement with a second job, with a second anything, just to keep the money flowing in and taking care of business.
So was photography one of the, did you pursue it harder because it was a side gig as well, or did that impact you moving more towards photography versus your current job?
So once in 2018, when I hit that photography conference, and I was pulled up on that stage, and the person who created the conference is the one who took me under his wing and was my mentor. If it wasn't for him, I would have never started my LLC. I would have never taken it to the next level. And it was because of him that I am now a TEDx photographer, and I'm on the committee for the photography conference that changed my life.
Congratulations, Shadia.
Thank
Congratulations.
You. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm telling you, I've had some beautiful mentors in my life that have really helped guide me down the path I would have never known. I would have never known where to go or how to do this kind of stuff. So,
Joe was curious what the name of the conference is that you mentioned.
It's the Rockbat Photography Conference, and it's here in Detroit. It's a 3-day conference. It's probably one of the best prices you'll get for a conference. And what's beautiful about it is it's intimate. There's really never more than 400 or 500 people, which means you're getting a lot of good one-on-one. Why am I drawing a blank? You're getting a lot of that help and the information that you need on such an intimate level that you can't help but gain knowledge and not get confused. Thank you, Leslie.
And so, Shadia, I'm curious. What would you say are 4 characteristics that every photographer, particularly a photographer that employs themselves, needs to be successful?
Most importantly, take a business class. I took one, I aced it, and I remember nothing from it. So I'm now redoing all of this. Business class is of utmost importance to me. Perspective, not shoot straight on. Change your perspective. Change the way, the angles. Find your creative niche and run with it. But the main thing to me with photography is you got to do something different, because anybody can take a picture. Look at the phones these days. You can take a beautiful picture with your phone, but without the skill and mastering lighting, between those things and just changing the perspective of your shot, that's your game changer. You know, one thing that I've been complimented most on is the way that I shoot. And I'm not sure what it means exactly, but I do know I shoot differently than others. I could never scientifically explain lighting to you. I just know how to get the shot that I want. But I am not a technical shooter by any means. I am learning this. This is what my mentor fights me in. He wants me to learn the technicalities so that I can run with the creativity, but I did it backwards, which is normal of me.
I mean, hey,
I do everything backwards. Yes, absolutely.
Wow, that's so interesting. A business class perspective, lighting, like keys.
It's really amazing to those three things, how big of an impact they'll have on your business. And more than anything, when you're branding yourself and you want people to know anything about you, be yourself. You know, authenticity and vulnerability are the two main components of people connecting with you. And in order for them to want anything to do with you, they have to have some kind of connection. And all this is stuff that I've learned over the course of the last couple of years. So very blessed for that kind of information, because it's little stuff, but big game changer.
And I mean, I think like everything that you're touching on is like so key, particularly for a skill set that is way more artistic, right? Sometimes it's harder for people to grasp the business and the technical side of it. Like if we were to double click on the business side of it, like how do you set up your income, or how do you set up your deals or your contracts in such a way that you can like self-employ yourself? Like what are those steps that you need to take on the business side to like empower your art?
So those are the things I'm going to have to let you know at the next one, because I'm still learning.
All right. We'll hold you to it.
It has truly been such a learning experience, because, like I said, I got an A in my business class, but I don't remember squat from it. So everything that I'm learning is by asking other entrepreneurial friends and doing it wrong, and then, you know, trial and error.
And I think Ziz had a follow-up question on CRMs. Do you use any CRMs currently to manage your customers?
So I use ShootProof, and that's where I get my contracts set up. That's where my invoices come from. That's where you see your gallery and purchase from your gallery. I am in the midst of learning 17 Hats, which is basically a better CRM than what I'm dealing with now. But with ShootProof, it does so much. It's just not automated. So I'm constantly sending them. And I'm sure I could schedule stuff to be sent, but I am, again, still learning what is the and most not economic, but efficient way to reach my clients and stay in touch. My favorite Eid meal. Listen, Ziz, anything with food is good for me, but if I get to pick, it's going to be turkey.
Turkey, okay.
Yeah, and my mom was born and raised here, so we do a lot of American eating as well as Middle Eastern eating, but we eat Arabic all the time, so it's nice to have something different every now and then.
Right. I think it looks like this is going to learn 17.
Awesome, good, because then we can bounce off each other, because I heard the learning curve is really difficult, but once you get in, it's like golden.
And do you work with other photographers often? Are there plans to like employ other photographers? What's next for you and your business?
So I don't work with other photographers in my own personal business, but with Robert, we do have one other photographer and a couple of videographers that I absolutely adore. I would love to and plan to expand once I get myself situated, because I'm getting to a point where I'm busy enough that another photographer would be helpful. But until I understand the business side of all of this, I could not possibly add. This whole business, the entrepreneurial side is interesting. Yeah.
Well, we have the last follow-up question here for you, Shadia. How much of your journey would you say has been luck?
Luck? I would say it's more blessings. God's looking out for me. That's one thing I can definitely say, because I guess you could look at it as luck in a way. Yeah. When I had gotten pulled up on that stage at the conference, I walked in late. I wanted to avoid the conference at all costs. And I walked into work that day, and all my coworkers kicked me out and made me go.
Wow.
So when I went there, I went late to avoid talking to people. I went and sat in the far back corner, like an entire section away from everybody else. So obviously I stood out even if I didn't plan to. And I stood up to stretch, and that's when Sean Lee had pulled me up on the stage. He's like, let's do a live demo. You back there in the pink hair, can you come up there? I sat back. He's like, no, come on up. And I would think I cursed the entire way up to myself. But I'll tell you, it was embarrassing. I couldn't say my name. I stuttered my name. It was so embarrassing. I don't do people like that. You know, I'm just a introverted, quiet person, or was. And so he pulled me up on that stage. I couldn't get the words out. I couldn't give him a serious face. If you paid me, I couldn't do it. Yeah. And it was moments after that I was bombarded by, 75 photographers wanting to know who I am, where I came from, what I do. And it was beyond terrifying, but the absolute best thing that has ever happened to me when it comes to the world of photography. I met some phenomenal photographers. These creatives have nothing but love and education and support to give. So super blessed for that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely happy to hear that. I think Sis said it best, like luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. So you were ready to show your stuff, and it just happened, even though you're trying to avoid it.
I guess that I was trying to avoid it, but I'll tell you, had I not gone up on that stage, I would have never met Robert, because the guy who introduced me to Robert was at that conference. And I would never be a TEDx photographer or nationally published or any of that stuff, because it all started at that conference, everything. So, it's just the way the world works, and the universe conspired to help me grow.
It's like, I guess the word of advice is this: don't block your own blessings, right?
What a wonderful thing. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Do not block your own blessings. And I did for so long.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, Shadia, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here today. We always have the cafe open afterwards for anyone that wants to chat with each other or chat with Shadia more if she's available. The cafe is always open after these events. I want to thank you guys so much for joining in. Stay tuned with us, please. We have so many things coming up. Pitch competitions. We have a new set of questions for our season 2. So please check out the channels, talk to Shadia, ask her more questions about her journey, and just continue to be an amazing member of this community, everyone. Thank you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you, Shadia.
Thank you, guys.
If you'd like to join the Accelerate Collective and attend future Campfires, visit accelerateamerica.com/join and check out our future guest at accelerateamerica.com/campfire. Take care.